Good evening, Somers, and welcome to the Somers Town Board regular meeting, Thursday, June 13th, 2019. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and be seated. Patty, roll call.
Councilman William G. Faulkner.
Here.
Councilman Richard G. Clinton.
Here.
Councilman Anthony J. Sirico.
Here.
Councilman Thomas A. Garrity Jr.
Here.
Supervisor Rick Morris.
Present. Okay, the first order of business this evening is to open a public hearing on the proposed conservation easement for the Mitchell subdivision. Publishing and posting, please.
That was published in the Somers Record and posted on the Town Clerk's Bulletin Board on May 30th.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, so this is a conservation easement on the Mitchell subdivision property. Is there anyone here for comment on the subdivision, conservation subdivision, easement of the Mitchell subdivision?
Nope.
Gentlemen, any issues, questions?
And that would do what for the town, or what would be the impact of this in case someone is, watching? What are they?
Right, well, it's open space that gets an easement that's placed on it that no development can happen after the town grants the conservation easement. So it gets moved into conservation, gets put on a list that the Westchester Land Trust will inspect every year to make sure that there's no encumbrances on the land and it remains open. That's basically it.
And I'm looking at the picture here. The actual easement is it from the road, or I'm trying to see on the photo.
No, I think this is the back parcel.
Do you see? Oh, that's Kegel.
I think it's to the.
Oh, so it's like right here?
Okay, so
Oh,
give us your name and where you're from.
there
sir.
you go. Thank you. See?
Good evening.
Ask and he shall receive.
Ray Hamill from Dibble Associates. I do have a plan here which will show the easement.
There we go.
If you want me to put on a...
Yeah, if you could just
Sure,
real
do
quick,
that.
I'm curious.
It comes up to the road, right?
No.
No, it's in the
Goes
back.
in the
It's in the
back.
back, like towards the. Is it towards the bike path?
It'll go toward, if I remember
Well, we're
correctly,
gonna
toward
find
that
out.
and toward Kegel.
Yeah, I would guess.
We like guessing, Rick.
To the south and, yeah, why
We
not?
like guessing before he shows us.
This area in green is conservation easement,
Okay.
Okay.
protected behind the building lots. It joins Kegel Park, it's the next property behind it.
Right.
It is not on the road, it's just right behind the building.
And where's the bike path in relation to this? Is it back behind there, or you're not unaware?
I'm unaware of that.
It is.
Yes, it's
It
to
is
the
behind
left
there.
on the map.
It is, okay, yep, that's what I thought.
For those of us who are guessing.
Yeah, well, when we went out, I remember when we went
We
out
walked that a
a
couple
long
years
time
ago.
ago, yeah, we walked it and it came up, so that's where, I get it now, all right, good.
Right, so we were always interested in that easement because
Right.
it links now Kegel Park with that parcel.
Yep, all right, good.
So this is a good thing.
No, it's good.
Very
Just wanted to make sure people in the town knew where it was and all.
Okay, Ray, thank you.
That's it?
It was
Okay.
nice and easy, huh?
Yeah,
That's why I was here.
quick presentation. Anything
Mine-
else you
mine
want to
just-
talk about while you're here?
Mine just didn't have.
Any other
it wasn't
issues?
colored.
Okay, any further discussion on the conservation?
Good.
You'll
Roland?
notice on page Page 2, there's a blank. The date of the baseline data report
Right.
has to be added. That's been done. Surratt and Steve took care of that. So it exists, and it should, the date of it should be filled in here. And then when the original comes back.
Okay,
from-
whereas the conservation values of the easement area are documented and a baseline data
data
report dated,
such and such.
Is that the memo we got from Surratt,
Might be,
though? Yes,
and do we have that date?
May 22nd.
right? And then when the original comes back from recording, the baseline report should be attached to the original
Okay.
when it goes in your file.
Is there anything
Okay.
about this that's unusual, Roland, is just routine sort of conservation easement?
Yes. Who has the original? I only received a email.
So,
So, does my office have it, or you have it?
do you mean the one with the photos?
No, the original conservation easement, signed by the property owner.
Does the property owner have it? And-
I have the one that was I received from your office.
That's just an email. Nobody has signed it
Is
yet.
it signed?
No, nobody
No.
signed it yet.
So we'll need to get you the original. I'll get that from the attorney for Mr. Mitchell and the recording documents. Next time I see you, I'll bring them.
Okay. All right.
Can
Or if
we
you
act
wanna have
upon
Mr.
that?
Mitchell
We're
come
just
in?
listening, this is
So
a
is
public hearing.
there,
You should move to accept it, and then I can just have the authorize the supervisor to sign it.
okay, so I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye?
So moved. And I'll make a motion to approve the Mitchell subdivision conservation easement with the addition of a date for that baseline study.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
And just if I can make a quick comment, and we'll probably get into more detail at a later meeting, but the board was lucky enough a week ago to do a tour of the historic buildings with Grace Zimmerman and Meg Timone, and look at them. One of the historic buildings that many people in this town don't know about is the Tomahawk Chapel. And the reason I say that is part of this conservation easement. It impacts the Tomahawk Chapel to a degree. In fact, it has to be signed off down here, I see, by the president of the homeowners association there. But I did want to say that Mr. Mitchell and family are the ones who really have been taking care of the grounds at the Tomahawk Chapel for many, many years. They cut the lawn, they go in there, they make sure that it's kept up well. And we'll talk at future meetings. We all decided about the other historic areas and buildings that we have that other companies or other people volunteer and upkeep, but this is just appropriate for this because we're doing a subdivision that impacts it to a degree. So we want to thank the Mitchells for that and for their many years of just upkeeping that property.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you for that. Okay, the next order of business is public comment. I'll make a motion to open public comment.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. I see there are two people here for public comment. First one, Lisa Ann.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, just give us your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name is Lisanne Castellano, and I live at 20 Woodcrest Terrace in Amawak, oh,
Yeah.
20 Woodcrest Terrace.
Bend that down.
Oh.
There you go.
Okay, you want me to start over? Or?
That's
No,
fine.
that's good.
Okay, I live at 20 Woodcrest Terrace in Amawak, New York. And I'm here today, and I could probably skip over a lot of the stuff that I'm about to say, only because you're probably familiar with the area. Are you guys all familiar where Woodcrest Terrace is?
Yes.
Okay. So the reason I'm here today is I moved into my house, and I've almost been hit several times pulling out of Woodcrest, turning onto Mayapack. As you know, Mayapack is a 30-mile-an-hour zone. People do not obey that. So after being hit almost several times, I did call the Somers Police. I talked to the chief, very nice man, and he said that he could put up a speed monitoring device, which he did. And that's a great solution, but that's a temporary solution to a much bigger problem. Unfortunately, Woodcrest, and I didn't realize this when I bought the house, is kind of on a blind hill. So it's blind coming up from if you're turning on from 35, and it's blind if you're coming down from Route 6. And people speed excessively, and it's every day that I leave, I go to work, I make a left, and I think to myself, is this going to be the day that I'm going to get hit? And it scares me. I actually put down all 4 windows in my car now to try to hear the car. And to be honest with you, it's just a matter of time before somebody gets, there's going to be an accident there and somebody's going to get severely hurt, or there's going to be a fatality. And I'm just here to bring awareness. I'm sure you guys are kind of already know, but again, there's got to be some kind of a solution. And when I talked to the chief, he asked me what were my suggestions. Well, of course, a speed bump would be my suggestion. He said that would be a liability. And I understand that, but I said to him, if somebody gets killed pulling out of Woodcrest Terrace, that's a liability too. I suggested a mirror across the street. He said that myself or the people Woodcrest Terrace would have to pay for it. The property across the street is owned by a homeowner. I don't even know if he would even allow us to do that. The cost of a mirror, I don't even know what the cost of a mirror is. But from what I understand, and I'm new to the New York side, I'm originally from Connecticut, is I thought the town owned at least 10 feet of everybody's property. So I'm trying to say is maybe can the town put a mirror up? At least then we have something visual to try to, the third thing he asked me, the third thing I suggested is maybe a flashing yellow light. He said he could see if he could get a sign put up for a hidden driveway. But to be honest with you, when you guys drive, how often have you ever noticed a hidden driveway sign and said, I should slow down, somebody's going to pull out?
Oh, it's a caution sign, yeah.
Yeah, it is, but it's not enough of a, the problem with Mayapack Avenue, I've been living there since, I bought the house in August, I moved in October. And I'm not doubting the chief, but I've never seen a cop once on Mayapack. I've never seen anybody pull over. And I'm on Mayapack a lot because I go to the Stop and Shop. So, and I'm on it in the morning. So I don't know what the solution is, but
You'll see them there. They many years ago, when I was a boy of 18, that's where I got my first speeding ticket. And they do stay on that road quite a bit.
Yeah.
So you may not have seen them now, but there's both state and local police have. In fact, when I was driving just a couple weeks ago, I saw state police there. So they do. Usually, it's down in the lower part, the straightaway in front of the farm. Because there's areas where they can tuck in, but...
yeah, I mean, and I understand that everybody on Mayapack should be protected, not only the residents of Woodcrest, but, I noticed that there's a 30-mile-an-hour strictly enforced sign down by the farm on the straightaway. To be honest with you, those people have a lot less chance of being hit pulling out of their road than somebody on Woodcrest, because it's flat. I've actually had people pass me on the double yellow. And tonight when I was driving here, I made a right out of Woodcrest. I had somebody on my bumper. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I don't know what the solution is, but I've lived 12 different places in my life, and I've never come to a town board to say, hey, I'm frightened when I pull out of my road. And I just, every time we have guests over, I'm always like, oh my God, when you get to the end of the road, look back and forth. It's just.
Well, we could definitely talk to the chief and review it
So
ourselves.
get a recommendation.
Yeah, and we have, and you've spoken to the chief.
Yes.
And you're saying, what can you do? You're doing all the right things. You're bringing
Okay.
it to the police chief's attention, you're bringing it to our attention. We have a part-time police department that actually covers this town full-time because of our numbers. I do have a report, maybe I'll report on it at our next meeting, but we've issued hundreds of traffic violations since January 1.
Okay.
Do we know how many on
We would-
Mayapack Avenue?
we would-
That would
would
be
have
interesting to
that
see.
Yeah. And I do want to say that I didn't feel that the chief was dismissive of me.
No,
And I
no,
want to actually say thank you, if you could thank him for me, because he did do what he said he
Well,
was
you're
going to
doing
do.
it now. This is
Oh,
a
okay.
public forum, yeah.
Okay, so
watching
yeah,
you.
so
Good
I
way.
want him to, I want to thank him. And I'm not a person that likes to make trouble. It's a concern that I have. And again, I've almost been hit several times. It was a couple of weeks ago, I was actually making the right at Woodcrest. And it was a Sunday morning, like around 10 o'clock, I was going to go down to Joe Cole to get on the bike path. I was ready to pull out. I was starting to go. This guy in a BMW must have been going 70 up the hill, so he was turning from 35 up. If I didn't slam on the brake, he would have hit me going 70 miles an hour. And think about that. I mean, if I'm standing still and you broadside my car, it's likely that I'm either going to be severely injured or I'm going to.
So what we can do, and you've begun the process, is get the chief involved.
Okay.
We do have a speed machine we put up.
Yep, he did.
Is it still there?
It's still there.
Okay, we've had some success with that. We can also talk to the highway department, have them go over and look at, maybe there's sight lines that could be improved.
Okay.
And as you mentioned, the town does have a certain right of way, so maybe there's some cutback of trees or bushes or something
Okay.
that would improve your sight line. One thing we can't do is straighten out these country roads.
And I totally understand that.
You know,
I
so,
totally understand that.
Oh, it's treacherous. I
Yeah,
get it.
no, I personally have the same situation. I live on Lovell Street.
Okay.
So- and I
I'm
put
very
up a
new
mirror
to the
across
area.
the street for
Okay.
what it's worth.
Okay.
You know, it's hard to judge a car coming 70 miles an hour in a mirror. They shouldn't be doing 70 in the first place.
Totally agree with that, but unfortunately they do.
Yeah, speeding and some reckless driving, that is a problem in the town. And that is why when we get complaints like this, we do respond to them.
Okay.
You know, when we hear there's trouble spots. So we're actually, in this year, the 2020 budget, we're going to instruct the police department to put in for some more of those speed machines. You know, it's a radar beam that tells how fast you're traveling, and it'll flash, you know, warning. I personally happen to like the ones in Bedford because it just doesn't tell you your speed. It says slow down or warning.
I actually go by that one every morning. I mean, on the way home, I go by it.
On Cherry Street. is one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yep.
They're effective, I think.
Oh, they are, yeah. She'll slow you down.
So look for those in the future.
Okay, I will.
Near
And I want to
future.
tell you, you're not alone with your complaint. We do get a number of these throughout the year, and these are the techniques that we take. We'll do it, and I'm sure the chief told you this. We'll conduct enhanced enforcement over there. So you will see more of a police presence in that area,
Okay.
and hopefully we'll get that guy doing 70 miles an hour. And he'll be sitting here on a Monday or Wednesday night in front of a judge.
I hope so. I really do. Because it's-
That is a tough area. I know where you're talking about. That is a very tough area. I think
Yeah.
a mirror is a good idea, supervisor says. Roland, she was asking in Connecticut that I think you said the town would put that up or something.
I mean, I never had that. I just said I'm from Connecticut. I don't know how things work here. I've seen
Better.
I've seen it in Connecticut many times, but I never.
Yeah, there's a couple around town where people have those blind access. Just is there any law about that? Would that, if it's on private property, it would be up to the private property owner, I would guess, to put up a mirror, not the town.
Well, the private property owner across the street, he already has a sign on his property that says no solicitors, no this, no that.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know him personally.
Yeah.
I don't know how he would take if we said, hey, we're the road across the street, we want to put a mirror on your property. I don't know if he would go for that, to be honest with you.
I would do that. I think, I'm just guessing if that would help. Speeding around town. One of those hidden driveways is right by my house. I'm not sure anybody's gone any slower, I can tell you
Yeah,
that.
probably
I mean, it's
not.
good to have. It can't hurt, and the highway department certainly can put that up.
why can't they do a speed bump or a flashing light? Why?
You do flash.
Well, you can ask the highway department. They're dangerous. They come down faster than a speed bump. That car could end up anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't necessarily, deliver the desired result, and there's an element of danger there as well.
They
Yeah.
put them up in other towns where they then remove them.
Yeah, in Yorktown, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to cause anybody else injury.
You're not
I
causing
just.
that, we got
But
it.
there are other common.
No, you're right.
But the highway department will look at this. There are other calming, traffic calming
Devices.
sort of devices, mechanisms, or designs. But reality is that Mayapack Avenue is abused.
Yeah,
Without
well,
doubt.
I think the problem is that's the go-through, that's the
Yes, that's
go-between
exactly what it
between
is.
Route 35 and Route 6, and people are like, oh, just get on,
They're going
that-
to work, they're going
yeah.
to BOCES, they're going all
Yeah.
over the place. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
100%
going
right.
Stop and Shop, I'm going here, I'm going there, and they're just gonna speed and not even care, so. All right, well,
We'll try those, there's nothing that's going to be perfect.
yeah, I understand.
But if we
that.
try a number of things, each one helping a little,
Yep,
in the cumulative effect may be better. Everyone can certainly empathize with your situation over there, because if you've driven over on that road,
Yeah.
you just know what it's like.
yeah, and I never noticed it, like, obviously when you buy a house, you go to it several times, but it was always probably in the middle of the day when not that many people were commuting.
Right.
And it wasn't until after I bought the house and kind of had like, hey, this is great, went to leave, went to make the left, this guy came speeding. And I was like a deer in headlight. Like I was already out and already started crossing. He was coming up, I'm like, oh my God. And he jerked the wheel really quick and he ended up skidding into Woodcrest. So he didn't hit me, but if he wasn't thinking quicker, he would have broadsided me, so. And
Okay,
then-
so we're duly noted, it's been duly noted, and like I said, the chief will continue to take a look at Woodcrest, give it enhanced enforcement, and we'll have our highway department go over and take a look at the physical environment over there as far as sightlines.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time,
And thanks for your comment.
All right, and thank you for listening to me, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Try that mirror.
So just to get this report from the chief today, in 2018, we issued 121 speeding tickets throughout town. In 2019, year-to-date, we've issued 174 traffic tickets, speeding tickets. Locations, 28 of them have been on Mayapack Avenue, 10 on 35, and 8 on Pinesbridge Road. So, this indicates that, in fact, there is enforcement out there, but speeding tickets are tracking well above 2018 levels. So that's not a good trend, that's a disturbing trend.
At this rate, there'll be more than twice as many speeding tickets issued on Mayapack Avenue this year compared to last year.
Well, you know what? That's what it takes to slow people down in our
Yeah.
town. That's what we're
Yeah.
going to do.
And if anything, it's gonna bring revenue to the
Well, not.
We don't do it because of that.
But we're not a profit-making organization.
Most of it goes to the state, actually, very little.
Yeah, the
So,
truth
no,
is-
we don't root for speeding tickets.
Okay, so is there anyone, yes, Gerald, for public comment. Just give us your name and address when you get up there, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Boragini. I live at 4 Mohawk Lane. I've lived there for 45 years. I have not gotten a ticket in a lot of years.
for you.
It's fine.
In a lot of years.
I was here on April the 4th, and I asked you to pass a resolution against the state with regard to the Reproductive Health Act. I gave you a copy of the resolution that was passed by the town of Carmel. I emailed you one that was passed by Putnam County. On April the 11th, at your regular meeting, you said that you were not interested, you would not get involved in a state issue. You would deal with the local issues, which I can understand your point of view. But I have a different point of view. I'm a retired Army officer. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I never did anything heroic. But a few times when we were fired on, I went to the fire. I didn't run away. I'm asking you don't run away. This is an issue, it's not a local issue, it's not the town of Somers, it's the state of New York. And at that time, I said I would contact the governor, and I did. I sent him my remarks. I had printed remarks from April the 4th. I sent it to his home in Mount Kisco. I've sent him a couple of Christmas cards in the past. Very polite, very nice. There's no sense in getting angry at anybody or being difficult. Otherwise, you're not going to listen to me. And at that time, on April the 4th, I said, I think you're all very good people. I think you're very decent people. I need to convince at least one of you guys to put this on the agenda. I need to convince at least one of you that this is an issue that ought to be heard, because we're taking the lives of unborn babies in the last trimester. I recommend you educate yourselves. I'm not the brightest guy in the world. I don't know all about abortion. But I got involved, I got interested, and I find it to be appalling. I find it to be abhorrent. I'm asking you to get involved. Take a look at it. Make your own decision. Hear from the other side. See if they are convincing to you. If you believe that, hey, it's just fine, everything is good. I like that idea of abortion. I'd like you to put it on the agenda. I'd like you to get some discussion. I'd like you to prepare a resolution to the state of New York. I recognize what I'm asking you to do. I'm not a fool. I'm not very brilliant, but I'm not certainly a fool. Tomorrow you got to shave. Yeah, I guess even Mr. Garrity has to shave tomorrow. But tomorrow you got to shave. When you look in the mirror tomorrow morning, when you shave, you got to make a decision. Did I run away from this issue? Because I look in the mirror and I say, I'm not running away. I didn't run away when I was 23 years old. I had bullets flying over my head. Sometimes it's good to be short, all right? But I didn't run away when I was a 23-year-old. Don't run away now. We're adults. We're fathers. We're grandparents. Take on the issue. Grab it. Take a look at it. Educate yourselves. Take on the issue, and don't run away. I really thank you for letting me speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comment.
service.
Yeah, thanks for your service. And be sure to get down to Independence Day celebration on the 29th of June. Fireworks, opening ceremonies at 6. We're honoring veterans. So we want to pay our appreciation to you as a town. So come down and be part of the celebration.
All right, I'll wear something that indicates that I'm a veteran, okay?
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else here for public comment? Seeing no one or hearing no one, I'll make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Patty, department reports?
I have reports from the town clerk, building inspector, zoning board of appeals, plumbing, Bureau of Fire Prevention, Parks and Recreation, planning and engineering, tax receiver, and director of finance.
Thank you. All right, moving along on our agenda, on town board business. Number 1 is design concept, town entry markers for the town of Somers, and a presentation by Mr. Philip Cherandini, architect. And I would like to mention that Mr. Cherandini was a long-serving member of our architectural review board.
And if you didn't know there was any presentation tonight, and it's going to be very informal, thanks for the heads up.
It could still be informal, but just grab the mic.
Yeah.
Those are the same as we have?
Yes.
That you sent us, right? Those pictures, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
Got it.
the package you have.
Okay.
Nothing's changed since then. A couple years ago, actually, Rick mentioned that he was thinking about the entry markers were getting a little weather worn. Some of them disappeared, and it might be time to talk about replacing them. So I said, why don't I just throw an idea out and see what you think? It's very informal. So I thought about what might be interesting and what would work and be. I started thinking about it, and a lot of the signage in the area, in the Westchester area, and a lot of the counties around here, way too busy. Too much information on the sign. I always joke that it's like you almost have a W-2 up there. You have everybody's birth date and what happened there. You're driving 30 miles an hour, and basically it means nothing. All the information should be very simple. Just town, date, everybody gets it. Somers, 1788, they know that's the founding of the town. And I think I took my cue from the mile markers on the old post road between here and Boston, and basically how they used the stone obelisk to mark where you were in the course of your travel. So I just took that idea and just extrapolated on it and simply moved into, I got some photographs from stone obelisks that are around the world in other places, and just drew the Somers name on and the dates, and I figured we'd have I know a few stone carvers in the area. There's a couple in Hartford that can make all that happen as far as the technicality of carving the letters. What recently I got into in discussing with sourcing some of these things with Bedford Stone over in Bedford Hills, and there's a quarry up in Massachusetts in Hingham that specializes in granite blocks. And everybody I spoke to really is tending towards it should be granite because of the tightness of the grain, and it's going to be exposed to the weather, and you don't want it falling apart. Basically, if you go through this, it should be permanent, and that'll be the last sign that any of us will have to deal with. But anyhow, it's, these things are 6 feet tall, 2 feet into the ground put into a dry pack cement.
That means they're 8 feet in total?
8 feet in total. And I'm throwing these numbers around, but this is very fluid because not everybody has this stuff. Bedford Stone has old curbs from demolition in various parts of cities all over the Northeast that are granite curbs. Some of them are like 8 inches thick by about 10 inches wide, 9 feet high. That was a possibility, but it's a little too finished. My feeling was it should be a little more rusticated than something that finished.
How many would you need?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. How many entry points do we have? 6, 8, 4? I don't know how many there are.
We'd have to count up the
And-
signs that have been put up already.
And what's there now?
35 is 2.
There's,
Well,
We've gone.
as memory serves
Entering
me,
the
and
town of
maybe
Somers,
not, but
Home
I
of the
think we
American
had,
Circus.
yeah, we had 16 signs made
16?
of
Oh.
that elephant design.
Yeah.
Some were post, some were double pencil.
Right.
But I mean,
16.
I don't know about you gentlemen, but this would certainly, the number would be incumbent upon how expensive.
Yeah,
exactly.
they're a little more
We're gonna-
expensive than
I'm
a wood
minimally
sign.
4, northeast, south, and west.
Yeah, the compass points.
100,
I mean, you need 2 on 35 right there.
35,
Coming in from Yorktown,
35,
coming in from
100,
Katona would be
100.
Or the major roads.
Actually,
I-
on 100, you could
202.
kind of do it at the corner for both ways.
I've always assumed for some reason the 6 to 8 number, but
That's
I
probably,
don't know if that's
you could
accurate.
probably work with that number.
So
The supervisor makes a good point. The
Main roads, the idea is the main roads, right?
Right.
Well, yeah, but the cost is the.
Oh,
is the
yeah,
big side.
these are.
So this is, just so I understand, because I know there are other pictures in here of other, we see them still in town, the little tombstone-looking ones
Right.
almost, that say 2 miles, and sometimes
Right.
even have just a little square ones.
Yeah.
When you're walking on a path or something. This is the sort that you're recommending, that if you were to do it, if you said, hey, we have the money, I recommend we do the 6-foot Somers coming right down.
Right.
At the entry points. Okay.
So.
Exactly.
This would be obviously carved into the stone. Would it have, you proposing a color for that, or?
Well, the couple of the carvers that I spoke to, they use what they call a shadow stain.
Yeah.
That once it's carved, they wash the inside of the letter, and it just darkens it a little bit, so it looks like it's in shadow, and and that's where all the aesthetics come into play, the color of the granite and how you get the contrast so that it's easily read.
And how permanent is that type of a thing?
I'm sorry,
How
what?
permanent is a shadow stain?
I don't know. I don't have a timeline on that.
Yeah.
But what you were saying earlier, and again, I'll go back to the board's tour of the Tomahawk Chapel.
Yeah.
Mr. Clinch and I actually commented on that you would see one tombstone that you could barely read anything, and then
Yeah.
you would look at another one, and it was just like it got put up yesterday, and it was put up in, 1890.
Right.
That's the kind of stone you're talking
Yes.
about, where, it's not
It's
gonna
a,
wear
it's a
down.
tight granite. Some of these are in bluestone, and if you're in a layered sandstone, and when you take stone out of the ground and you turn it, and now the beds are vertical,
Right.
it just, the freeze-thaw cycle of the winters in the Northeast just
Gonna knock it out.
blows it apart over time.
Okay.
With the granite, it doesn't happen,
Okay.
because the grain is tight. It doesn't matter which way you turn it.
All right, good.
So-
But it's also more expensive.
So what would be sort of how would you start this project? I mean, what's the first step?
We get a quote.
Pick something,
You'd
get
have
a
to
quote.
cost it out. I mean, I've been playing with numbers, it's all over the board. Per unit cost to buy one of these can be anywhere from $800 to $1,800 just to buy the body. Now you have to carve it, and then you've got to get a hole dug and get it installed and buy some cement and,
Well, I mean, is that something our highway department could do?
Yeah, I think the highway department could dig the hole,
Right.
and if they had a backhoe with a chain that we could, would either need a truck that has a boom on the back of it to move these things around, because it's close to 2,000 pounds when you're dealing.
I think we have everything, I would think we would have the equipment that we need to do that.
I would think
Yeah.
the carving would be more expensive.
The carving is going to add, is probably going to, I would think, the one guy I spoke to said, I'll source the stone, I'll buy it, and I'll carve it, do everything, deliver it, but I'm not going to install it, but I'll get it to the hole. He was talking about $5,000 a piece. So if it's anywhere from 800 to 2,000 to buy the piece, then he's,
Yeah, the carving is more expensive.
yeah, the
than
carving
the
it
stone
can
itself.
be double the cost. But that's one source.
Right, of course, of
I've
course.
been told that there's plenty of
I'm
guys
sure.
that'll do it
And I
for
think by
a lot
law, we
less.
would have to get
Yeah.
several
Are
quotes.
these intended
So
for?
that's probably the top end.
Yeah.
And what we want to do is
But
cut that
what
in
we have
half.
to do here, as you know, is we have to follow the laws, and we have to bid it out anyway.
Are
Yeah.
these intended for local roads or state roads?
Well,
Probably state roads,
or
the
both.
intent.
Well,
You're
state
talking about
roads,
main entry
Yeah.
points, those
state
would be
roads, I
state
think you
roads.
have a permitting requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
before you-
they,
But do
Before
we
you
have
could
to, I
put
wonder if we
these
have to
up.
do that with the other sign, I mean, we would just have to look at the records, because we have signs on
Yeah,
those roads.
but they have particular, I don't think they'll let you use concrete.
Because they don't want somebody to go off the road and hit
Right.
it. That makes sense.
All right, so we'd have to explore that. What are the possibilities?
Well, the
There are specifications for how you install.
And there might be overlaps between local roads and state.
Well, that's what I was gonna say,
you
for
know,
example,
where
on
It might be an
35,
entry road, but it might be both.
I think they got by on 35 up near Yorktown because they put it on Quaker Church Road.
So do you know?
So technically, it's on Quaker Church Road, but you can see it from 35.
Yeah,
well,
but-
and,
do you
and when the
know-
Pepsi building was the Pepsi building, they had a pink granite sign.
That they put the light in the wrong place.
Is that right?
Right, but, that was visible from the road, it was out of the state's right of way.
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
that's
Oh,
the
yeah, it
other
was
thing.
set
I mean,
back.
It was
so
set back.
that's an option too.
Are you aware or familiar
We
with?
get it up high enough, off.
But then you're on somebody's property,
Right,
not necessarily town property.
right.
But 15-foot right-of-ways type of thing. Are you aware of anywhere else or any town in Westchester County that's done this?
That's the
As an
uniqueness.
No,
example.
That's
I-
the
that-
uniqueness.
that's one of the reasons for doing it, is
Okay.
that it's unique and unusual. And I think in the big picture of townscaping, that it contributes to the subtlety and the sophistication of just the whole atmosphere.
But it also, and I agree with you, it's one of those things where, we've had signs put up in the past, and they look great. But then 2 years later, 3 years later, the rain hits it, and all of a sudden you have these signs and people go, that looks kind of.
Yeah, it's getting a little
If you don't
ratty.
upkeep them continually, it's not a great entry point. So
Yeah.
I understand where you're
Yeah.
coming from.
I'd say a couple of things. One, and I thought you were going to come last week, so I was asking some people before the meeting, just randomly. So what do you think? And I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea. one of them said, I really like that thing with like New York this many miles and Boston that many. You know, they took to that one. But each of them said, just as long as they've got a little elephant on them. So none of the designs that you had an elephant on it, right?
I was thinking about that maybe we could do a medallion or, you know, some sort of logo, I don't know, either at the top or on the sides or on the back.
Brass or something like that.
Yeah, somehow
I think that would
address
be
that.
good because
I
that's
think it would
our
be,
town.
Yeah, I think it would be
Better or worse,
very-
that's what we are.
Yeah, no, I think that would be nice.
See, I actually think what Councilman Sirico just said is a good idea, that you could actually add an emblem to it at some point.
Yep.
Versus, I mean, I would imagine that would be less expensive than having them carve an elephant. I mean, that's just my guess.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, if you attach sort of a brass elephant and drilled out some attachment points
That's what I'm
and
saying.
epoxied it in, it's not going anywhere.
I just can't imagine that, you know, if they're something that big on stone, that they're gonna
And
be
you
able to
might
get some elephant.
want to do it that way only because the you know, that's not going to be a large graphic thing.
Yeah. No,
So
I think
you
he's right.
want something like
Yes.
brass that's going to be contrasting to the stone.
I think
And
that
I
would be
want
nice.
it on the top, because even if you're
Yeah, you
gluing
recognize
it on or whatever on the base.
Yeah, the weeds
some
will-
kids
the
at
weeds
some
will
point in
get it
time
at
are
some
gonna
point.
Try to break it off.
yeah.
and It's gonna wind up in a dorm room somewhere.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
There you go.
No, I mean,
A plaque.
as a board member here, I think it's a great idea. I think it will stand out. It'll distinguish our town signage from anywhere else. I think it's in keeping with our area. I think your lead in where you're showing those markers, it's not inconceivable that you would run across a sign like this. It's timeless. But I also like the idea of the medallion piece. So from our side, I think we'd have to talk to the DOT.
Right.
Matter of fact, we have a meeting coming up with the new regional engineer, and we can broach that topic with her, so we can work on Roland, your concern.
Well, actually, and I think that's a question too, that if we don't put it on a state road, if it goes on a town road, I'd be interested for the risk management committee to talk to our,
That's true, too.
insurance providers, just to see if they've ever run into something like this. Because you're right, if there's a 6-foot solid granite post somewhere and somebody runs into it, are they gonna say that shouldn't have been there? So I think that's something we need to look into.
Good point. I think that if we were to, I think we'd have to acquire, you know, feedback from people. Once they would say, well, here's some possible things we're looking at, get some feedback, some sort of hearing or whatever, put them in the newspaper. Then I think I would, if we say, here's one that exists, I'd like to go see it, though. What does it look like on somebody's road? So I would, whether it's in Massachusetts or someplace
Well,
else.
I was thinking
I'd like
about
to go
that. We would
get a field trip.
it would be interesting to do a mock-up, make it out of styrofoam and spray it with granite. Same size, exactly that size, and put it in place.
Oh, that's an
See
idea.
what, don't tell anybody, just do it. And then.
Well, you just did,
Then,
Phil.
yeah, sorry.
Don't worry,
Everybody
we
close
test people
close your eyes. And then put it in place.
watches, don't worry.
Put it in place and then wait for the reaction. See how people
Who's gonna do the
react.
mock-up? I mean,
Don't coach it.
I mean, I've seen these because, you know, they actually tend to be pretty popular up in, Roland, you've probably seen them up in your travels up to Massachusetts area also. They're big up there.
Yep.
And so you see them, and they're nice. And they're nice, and they, but I'd have to now that I have it in my mind, when I drive up there, I'll take
I
a
was
look.
just sitting here saying, you know, it's not too far from the obelisk with the elephant right out here.
Right.
In front of the hotel.
Yeah,
Yeah, kind of.
And a few years ago, we had somebody hit it.
yeah.
We did.
You know,
They had to
that-
try,
they
they
really
had
went out
to
of
try
their way to
hard
do
to get that.
Well, he expired and went off the road and hit it.
that base could be the shape,
Yeah.
since that's sort of the,
Well, it might protect it.
Could be
as
a mini, get a mini
I
one.
think,
bump- as a bumper guard.
I appreciate what you've done. I think it's definitely a good start. And I think we just need to do our due diligence with insurance, with the state DOT, with all of that, just to see if it makes sense. And then obviously we'll have to do some sort of a bid, and then we'll really see
Just,
if it makes sense.
just don't let them administrate it to death.
No.
Well, we won't, but I can't speak for the DOT.
So Phil,
No, I meant them.
Yeah.
We really like the concept. The number, so what are we talking about, starting with 5 or number 4?
Four
you
or
think?
5.
Yeah.
You can always add them.
so, and I think, Phil, you made this point to me. You know, you're not going to get
Money.
4 or 5 of these identical
No.
monoliths.
And I don't think you want them identical.
No.
They-
Oh, your idea would be that they would be
There's
very-
going to be differentiation, especially if they're kept raw.
Yeah, they'll be similar, but they're just
They're,
going to be.
yes,
Oh.
they'll be
they
similar
have.
Oh,
in
I see what
material,
you're
but
saying.
one might be twisted this way.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's not like
I
a
see,
kitchen
'cause
counter
not
where they're gonna
Right,
carve it out.
right.
I
not
get you.
sculpted, but the printing or whatever's
Yes.
on it would be the same.
That would be
I
the
gotcha.
same.
I gotcha.
That would be
With a
identical.
little elephant on it.
Right, right.
And our names. I'm just kidding. I just told Tony that before.
Okay, so
Well, we
we,
got to deal with vandalism though now, right?
Yeah, you gotta deal
It's
with
like
that on
anything.
everything. I mean,
Yeah.
you would hope that the,
I mean, you would have to really work at this, but if it's 2 feet in the ground, then granite. But anybody can get
no,
creative.
I think he means somebody painting it or something
Oh,
like that.
well,
Not somebody actually wrecking it.
Sandblasting, I guess.
we'll take care of that. So Phil, let me ask you, next steps. If we're moving towards an RFP for this, so with RFPs, there are specifications. So it would be, you know, the town of Somers is seeking bids for 72-inch high, you know, could you provide dimensions for us?
Yeah, I would have to do a little more on this sketch, just so they get what's not seen, you know, that it's 2 feet in the ground and that what it's going to be packed with, so
Well,
that
what
the
I would al-
stone has to be at least 8 feet in length.
But I like the concept of a mock-up.
How would you do that?
I don't know, do you put that in the RFP? You know, before.
I don't know where you put that. It could be
Could we commission him as a
just a
professional service
closed
to?
discussion in terms of, let's see what it looks like and decide whether you want to issue the RFP. I already see it, I'm fine with it, but if you need to, you know, bring others along, then that to me, that's one way of doing it.
Well, do you think, you know, if you put the design in it, are you talking about the design of the letters, the Somers?
Yes, the whole, just.
So
it looks like
does that make sense to do it all with one, or does it make more sense to buy it from one guy and have another person or woman carve it?
Well, that, it could be, depending on what we get, it could be split up. We could source this and, you know, construction manager, instead of giving it to one person, buy the product. We'll have it delivered to one of the stone yards. We'll have to put all this together, and then a separate carver will do it, depending on what the numbers are.
Right, I mean, that
You know,
could
if
be
you
more
can, if you
expensive,
can
or
get
it
it
could be
to
less
one,
expensive.
if you can get it from one
Yeah, the-
supplier, everything, that's simpler.
Right.
No
Less-
freight involved.
Less things to go wrong.
Right, I mean, you're talking about money, and if you could save a couple of
Right,
thousand.
right. It
well, then it's worth it.
depends on the value. Right.
All right, so if it's the pleasure of this board to go with a mock-up, we could ask Phil to hire him to do a mock-up for us, right? It's a
I have to
professional
figure out what
service.
to make it out of, whether it's styrofoam or, that's probably what, you can get some pretty good blocks of styrofoam and carve them.
No,
Okay.
But,
never seen it, no.
So, and
all
then.
right, but, all right. You guys can think about that.
Yeah,
I mean,
just,
I see it.
you know, we could
I see
then
it.
throw it in the back of a pickup, go out and
Yeah,
plop it down. in a
literally,
couple of
literally,
places.
Just thinking you
Yeah.
understand there was about.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, well, I think you've
the mock-up.
energized this board here.
Good, good.
The mock-up's gonna be Tony standing there with Somers written on front of him, 'cause he's about 6, you know, he's about as tall as.
And a
has
elephant
to wear-
medallion on his forehead.
He has to wear a gray sweatshirt though, to look like granite.
Gray sweatshirt.
But he has to have the tie, because he always has a tie.
There you
Yes.
go.
Tony will go in one corner, I'll go in the other
Yeah,
corner
Tom
of
could
town.
do it. Tom-
We'll
Tom
both
could do
do
the
it.
other quarter, yes.
Significance the most.
And we'll be different shapes, because mine will be a little bit bigger.
Okay, Phil,
A little bit
so
more granite.
I want to thank you for coming in. I want to thank you for your
Thank you
service
very
on
much.
the Architectural Review Board.
Yeah, thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil, that was great.
It is a fun project.
And if you want to
We don't get a lot of those.
put a proposal together for that mock-up,
All right.
send it in, we'll put it on the agenda. And we'd also need a listing of where we should send out an RFP, who it should be sent to.
I have some names, but I mean, you might have others, but a couple of the quarries that I've been talking to.
Yeah, I don't think we have others.
All right, well,
It's not- I don't think
you
it
might
would
find, you
that
might
often.
find others.
But Phil, there was a number of photos in the proposal. You have one of them in mind as to be the. Is that the
Regarding
one
what?
Yeah, the one that was up there.
The one that was
The
up
one
there.
that was
It's
up there. I
there,
mean,
is the one-
the photos were really by way of explanation of the concept and
Right.
that it's not terribly new, that it's been used, over the last couple hundred years. and,
Sure.
Well, and we have some in town.
Hmm?
We have some in town.
Yeah, no, but that was the reason for the photos.
Off Quaker Church in between.
Is it?
I think so. A little one.
All right?
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Phil.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Big Bad Bob?
Okay, next order of business is our NYSEG LED conversion program discussion. And I'd like to call up our finance director, Bob Kehoe. And I would also like to commend Mr. Kehoe on the time and effort that he spent with a number of different LED light providers. He would take them to all the town buildings and scope out, all the work. And I think that because of his efforts, we're at a good place. And
And you can see it right here. All these.
I don't know if
lights.
anybody's noticed, these things are brighter
They're all
than,
LED.
right, so we're saving money right here.
Saving money. Everywhere is virtually done except a couple of outliers. They couldn't get to the tennis courts yet because of how wet they've been, and they need to get a lift out there, so they don't have they needed to dry out a bit before they do that. But I'd say 85% of it's done.
Good.
Did they ever have any resolution to the ongoing thought that we've had on the big lights at the baseball field at Reese, which is a problem because you can't get the bulb into the thing or
Right. Well, there's
and I know they keep talking about it.
Yeah.
They're saying there's this possibility, that possibility, and I know up near Kingston, they tried this on some fields there. I was telling Steve Ralston about that. I asked him to call them to see how it was working.
Well, we've had, as you know, we've had some proposals. We've talked to the contractor that's doing this work, and we've asked him to actually replace the bulbs that are out now. But the cost of that is still about $4,000 or $5,000 just to get a lift in
Yeah.
to get at the bulbs. So the real cost is the lift and the labor, not the bulb. So we're looking at that. I think we would have to go out for a bigger proposal, but that's in a lot bigger number range than what we've done throughout the town's buildings. So we're talking, I think that the estimate we got at one point was 300,000 plus to do all of them.
Yeah, that was he
Right,
did have that a ways back. Yeah,
So we've not gotten a better.
yeah, that's what we're always looking for.
So we're looking just to at least fix what's broken.
Because I mean, those are like $1,500 a month over
Yeah.
an 8-month season or so.
Right.
So that's $12,000. So,
Right.
but the payback on all these things, at 12, that's a
Right.
long payback. So-
Unfortunately, the program that did this work didn't include field
Right.
lighting, so.
Right.
Well, Bob, and what the most important thing here too is that what you're talking about here is a 4-month payback, which
Yeah,
a
what I'm.
4-month payback,
On
how do you
these.
say no to?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Do I need to talk anymore?
No, I don't think you do. I think you talk too much. but
Well,
already.
yeah, okay. Well, real quick, we're looking for board approval for Rick to sign a letter to NYSEG to switch all the 232 streetlights to LED, to allow NYSEG to choose the wattage to most closely match what's there, and the type of light on the Kelvin range, which, you give an example, this is a softer light, and the chandeliers here on the side is a brighter, more bluer light.
You want the
So,
yellow light, not the
We're gonna
blue
be.
light.
That's much better looking at that.
Yeah, this can be kind of obtrusive.
Yeah.
So the thought is to go with the more yellow.
I think
for
you're
you guys.
right.
I mean, that's like daylight, and this is more,
It's a softer.
Yeah, it's
So yellow and 3,000,
Kelvin, and then an NYSEG to choose the wattage.
yep, that's fine.
And, you know, the amount that I've been quoted is $5,190.62, but if you could do a resolution that says not to exceed $5,500, I mean, there's always some outliers that I may not have realized exists, since it took a while to get this number down.
And that will pay for itself in energy savings.
Within 5 months, according to NYSEG's calculation.
Right.
And the biggest chunk would be coming out of the Shenorock District, which is about $4,500, and it's all fund balance usage, no need to borrow.
Yeah.
So I think it's, and they retain ownership of the lights.
poles.
Of the poles, you know, other people.
We don't want
are-
poles.
I don't know why
We don't
anybody would do
poles.
that, quite frankly, but we don't have enough to go through that process.
No downside to this rolling, right? Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I
No
don't-
brainer.
It's $22 or $23 a light. That's what it comes down to. So,
We'll take it.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to get approval for the supervisor to sign up for the NYSEG LED conversion program to convert 232 streetlights in an amount not to exceed $5,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Hang around
Thank
for-
you, Bob, and once again, I appreciate all your
yeah, no, my
He's
your
gonna
work
hang
on it.
around for one more, for number,
Yeah.
number 5.
So you had to count the 232 lights?
yeah. I did. So you want me to stay here? Is that next?
Just
Yeah.
stay for 5.
Okay, we'll skip over 4, go to 5.
Three.
3
Excuse me.
and 4.
Skip over 3 and 4.
So 5, I just wanted to say, because 5, B and C, Bob and I are again on the risk management committee, so we met with our insurance brokers a couple weeks ago, and what I would consider very good news. While our insurance with Travelers has gone up a little bit, the two things that caused it to go up, one were that we basically have more cars in our system. We have the 2 new hybrid cars and a couple of others, and they're new cars. So our anything having to do with the auto insurance went up, and we also tweaked up the liability or the umbrella insurance a little bit. But overall, it was a good deal. We've been getting very good service from Travelers. The people that we use, the insurance brokers, have been, I think they've been fantastic. We've been working with them for a few years now, and they always keep us up to date on it. The big change is that we're going to be changing our workers' comp. And our workers' comp is no longer going to be Travelers. And the great thing about Travelers is that they said that their quote wouldn't change even if we didn't go with them on workers' comp. The rest of the quote would stay the same. So we're going to be moving to PERMA, and in so doing, we're going to be saving in the annual July 1st to June 30th of next year, somewhere in the neighborhood of, I want to say it was $80,000.
It's actually 97, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to be saving quite a bit of money. It more than offsets the smaller increase from Travelers. Again, it's something that we look at every year, so we won't get complacent and stay in it. But overall, Bob has done a great job, just making sure that we're always looking and making sure that people aren't getting complacent and just passing on costs to us. So the meeting was very productive that day, and so that's what we're about to vote on. So overall, it'll be a savings this year of probably close to $40,000 up against the budget,
Right.
and then again at the beginning of next year.
And we've been with PERMA before. We were happy with their service.
We were.
And we really just switched because of their, the bid from Travelers at the time.
Yeah, we called down, we asked Tammy to join us because Tammy tends to work with our insurance companies, and we asked her to give us her opinion on the 3 different companies, and Travelers and PERMA got a big thumbs up from her. The other one, not so much. So we're very comfortable with this decision.
Tom, when you had your meeting and with the insurance people that we have, did they make any recommendations about things we could do that would lessen potential liability and lower our risk, and which then therefore might affect insurance rates? Remember when I was on the school board, there were some things that they recommended that would increase security and, in their opinion, lower risk and therefore lowered our insurance payments. I was just wondering if anything has
This
come up
meeting
with
was
that.
not for that. This meeting was more or less to look at the casualty, we have had meetings, though, in the past.
Yeah.
Bob and I try to get together every 3 months or sooner if there's an issue. And what we've done specifically, we've looked at claims that have been filed in the town, and we've talked to them, and we've gotten training for people. So, for instance, if we see something that seems to be happening more often than we want, travelers will come in and they'll do a session on it. And Bob, maybe you can give an example. I mean, it could be anything.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So we've done those things to limit liability. And again, normally it just tends to be making people aware. You know, people go to something and then they don't see it for 3 years and they forget. So little things about, you know, using an aerator, using safety glasses, you know, not using your foot to, you know, kick something across the floor, you know, little things that you know, in the course of the day you might just say, oh, you know, it's easier to do it this way. So we've had trainings, and Travelers have been very responsive.
Yeah, and I do see an improvement with the workers.
Yeah, I will say the same. We a few years ago,
Yeah.
the meetings were a bit longer, and now now they're really not. We might have an outlier every now and then, but for the most part, it's pretty good.
That's great.
So, yeah, you guys should be meeting more often if you're going to save us 80 grand a year. So, thank you for your work on the Risk Management Committee.
That's right, keep shopping.
While we're on number 5, let's move up to A,
Okay, thank you.
which is the special event coverage from Philadelphia Insurance Companies or other provider in the amount not to exceed $2,500 for the 2019 Independence Day celebration. This is day of event coverage, which is recommended.
Yes.
So I'm going to make a motion to authorize the supervisor to approve A, B, and C.
Do we absorb all that, or is part of that offset by fees that day?
I believe we absorb it all.
Yeah, no, this is us.
That expense is ours.
Yeah, we're donating the fireworks and the
Insurance.
and the insurance.
Police, etc.
Okay, I have a motion.
Yep.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And then let's move up to 4. Authorize the supervisor to execute the following. The license agreement between Sebastian Capital, Inc. and the town of Somers for the use of 1 Pepsi Way parking lot for the sole purpose of having a 4th of July celebration. And B, the contract between Somers Lions Club and the town of Somers for the issuance of a special event permit for the 2019 Independence Day celebration.
Second.
There's the motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
And I'll comment, I know the supervisor, mentioned this before, that it's honoring veterans. But just so everybody knows that right now, there's 3 levels of parking. There's gold, silver, and general. Gold is gone. Silver's going fast, and there's still general admission, which gets you a parking spot. So if you're interested in going, and as we've said regularly, it's a great day. And it's even bigger this year than it was last year. You might want to get on the Lions, is it the Lions website?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lions website, and see about getting a ticket, because hopefully the weather will be great, but it's a fun day.
Yeah, no, that it is. And
Yes, we did.
I do have,
Space inside.
okay, so item number 3, we have a request of the board for 2 additional stop signs at Cypress Lane and Hillendale. And our normal procedure here is refer it out to the Somers Police, Highway, and Engineering Departments for evaluation.
That's over there in Lake Purdy?
Yes.
Is that where it is?
General.
Shadow
Oh,
Rock.
Shedrock, oh, right, Cypress, yes. Got
So
it.
is that a motion?
My
or-
fault.
Yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we make that referral out to Police Department, Highway, and Engineering.
Do we have any assessment on this one? I mean,
All
how
in
significant, how dangerous has this been?
And that's what we're gonna hear back
That's what we're
from
gonna
the
ask
chief
him.
of police and the highway department.
Yeah.
I don't know the intersection specifically.
It's
Okay, I have
right
a-
in Shedrock.
Yeah, there's a motion
Motion.
out there,
Rose
seconded.
seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Okay. I have an add-on. Number 6, and this is during our work on the signage code, we came across a conflicting piece of our code, littering and dumping, that we want to remove a section titled exemptions and enact town board as follows. Paragraph 18-8, posting notices prohibited is amended to read as follows. No person shall post or affix any notice, poster, or other paper or device calculated to attract the attention of the public to any lamppost, utility pole, tree upon public structure or building except as may be authorized or required by law. Unauthorized temporary signs placed on the town property within the town's New York State rights of way shall be deemed littering, and in addition to the penalty set forth in paragraph 18-2, such unauthorized temporary signage may be removed by the town employees and disposed of accordingly.
So that entire paragraph is the amendment?
Correct.
Okay.
So does
The
that,
first part existed.
Right.
The last part was added.
Which is the last part, though? Because it's all one
The part
paragraph.
about if it's in the right of way.
Oh, okay.
The town can remove it. And then there were 2 exemptions that I guess were the conflict,
Right.
where you had signage, you permitted signage for, what was it, garage sales, and bake sales,
Yeah,
things like
which
that.
basically we never did. We've always
Well, we got rid of
prohibited them, but
But it was that was the conflict.
So the
Right.
exemptions are deleted?
I deleted the exemptions.
So let me ask you a question. So what we're saying now is that any sign, doesn't matter who it's for, doesn't matter Johnny's Lemonade Stand, no go in the town right away.
it's considered litter,
Right.
which
So
invokes $1,000, is it $1,000 fine?
which is
What's the litter fine?
which is consistent with our zoning code.
What's the
Okay.
what's the littering fine?
250 it
Probably
starts out.
escalates.
Yeah, it's up to $1,000.
Up to $1,000.
$250, $500, $750, $1,000.
So is that schedule, could be
It would
invoked,
would be implied here.
applied here?
I mean, you see signs around town saying, no littering, $1,000 fine. So we want people to litter.
That's the maximum.
That's the maximum.
How does this affect the state roads? So if somebody is on 100 or 202, what is our ability to regulate or to do nothing?
If it's in the right of way, the state wants the towns to take any obstructions out of the right of way.
So obviously some towns allow it, some towns don't. What do you apply the
I
local
don't think anybody allows
law?
it. Some towns just don't enforce it.
So we would use our
You're saying
same
Yorktown-
code for the state roads?
Yorktown doesn't? I mean,
Yeah.
with all the sounds?
Yep.
I say.
I don't know what Yorktown does, but some towns just leave signs. They don't touch them. Other towns are very strict.
All right, so in towns that allow them, then the state's okay with allowing them?
No, the state just doesn't have the manpower to remove them on their own.
Right, there's,
Well, is that the state law that on state roads, there shall be no
Oh, definitely,
signs of whatever?
definitely. You need a permit from the state to legally put a sign on a state right of way.
So as we look at some of these historic district here, we've heard these people talk about signs for rent and that type of thing. Those would not be on the state road, those would be on their property? Is that,
Correct.
The way I understand it is let's
But-
just say it's 10,
but
the right of way.
There's another section of the law that permits for sale sign or for rent sign.
Right,
You're not prohibiting those.
So what about?
right, that's in the zoning
Yeah.
part of our code. This is
We
in
addressed
our
that before.
littering and
But in
dumping.
either case, if somebody, and again, I guess, outside of the right of way, if I want to put a sign up 11 feet back off the road on my property, I can do that because it's not in the town right of way. I mean, somebody may not see it, but I
Right.
can do it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, no, people, that's, right, First
But,
Amendment.
and then non-for-profits that are doing programs or, Red Ribbon Week or
Nope.
Drug Awareness Week or
Lions
all
Club.
that stuff.
They're all
not-
underneath the code now.
But
Well,
see
no,
that,
they always were underneath the residential code.
Right, so, but,
So there's really no change. This was just a conflict in our littering and dumping code.
okay.
see, it may be impractical, but I do think signs like Bill says for the Lions Carnival or for the raise money for something, I think they serve a public purpose within a limited amount of time, a limited number of signs, and the responsibility people put them out to pick them up, and if not, there shall be some sort of penalty or expense paid. I think there is a public good there.
Okay.
Now,
I
whether or
Let me
not.
challenge you.
But I mean, because are you going to say to the Lions Club, you can't put it out for the carnival and you can't put it out for that?
I do. Anytime anybody asks me about temporary signage, and why do I say that? Because I've talked to my town council,
Yeah.
who says you cannot, once you approve temporary
Right.
signage,
That's right.
you
Can't pick and
cannot
choose.
control what's on that sign. So, yeah, Lions Club, women's tag sale,
There's
then
cases
political
now talking
signs.
about
the-
Content neutral.
Right.
Signage has to be content neutral. You can't control what's on the sign.
What does content neutral mean then?
Means you don't control the
Respect freedom of
language.
speech.
Right.
All right, but is
So
that
we talk about gun
necessarily, so what is
control,
the problem that
Reproductive
arises?
Health Act signs.
If you
all of that.
have signs that say a public good, like Lions raising money, the downside of that is that you would have too many signs? I mean,
Somebody
you
could
can limit the
challenge
number
what's
of
the public
signs, right?
Yeah, but the downside of that is if I want to put a sign up, why do I have to follow a different code than a nonprofit?
Right.
Oh, yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
that-
yeah, I
that's-
don't disagree with that.
That's the challenge, is that
Oh, yeah,
if you
yeah.
let them put up, then anybody can come back and say, I want to do it.
No, right, and you might say that's a slippery slope and a can of worms you're opening there, and all of a sudden you got all this stuff all over the place, and I agree with you. And there are towns, and
So
sometimes you go into
what-
Yorktown, and you do wonder. I'm just saying, I think there is a public good that is served through some sort of money raising for things.
by
I do agree with that.
By all means. But the bottom line is, once you approve temporary signage of any kind, you can't control the content. And that's.
But then do we enforce them all the same?
We're going to have to.
Yeah.
Let me ask, this.
So everything will be enforced the same? There's no
Well, look,
pick and choose?
When you say enforcement, our building department is busy doing their job, which is inspecting public safety, going out looking at hot water heaters and new construction.
Yeah.
They don't have time to enforce, everything. They may not see things.
Okay.
The intent is to enforce it all the same.
If we get a complaint, we'll act on it. Let's put it that way. That's how our code, our building code, our fire, police, we get a complaint, we get an issue, we respond to it. So if there's a sign up there and someone finds it offensive, well, it's not allowed, and we'll go out and pick it up.
And we would just continue to tell.
Why wouldn't we just do that if that's the code? Why do we just?
I would rather
as
have
we-
my building inspector inspect a faulty roof than I would to pick up a tag sale sign.
Okay, I don't disagree with that.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, we're gonna set a public hearing. So at our public hearing on July 11th, we can further this discussion.
So, but what you're saying here, though, is that since all signs are prohibited, you don't have to deal with content because they're not prohibited.
Yeah, you can't. No, you
But,
can't.
I
do
just
that.
gotta ask, I mean,
Yeah.
you got all this stuff going on Facebook where they're governing content. You're saying at a local level, you can't govern content. If it's
I don't think we want to.
hate
That's what the
speech
cases
or
say.
other
We
stuff.
want to.
That's what the case law and signage has come to.
Yeah,
It hasn't
Even
caught up
with hate
with the
speech and
internet
so-
yet.
even with hate
Well-
speech and all that stuff?
It's freedom of speech.
I mean,
Oh, I don't
we've
agree.
had signage task force where Roland has come in and given his, opinion on temporary signage. And we haven't been able to come up with what you're saying. Is there a value? Yeah. Relay for Life.
Yeah.
Are regulated, is a banner off the right of way in Bailey Park to announce certain not-for-profit things. We have a
Yeah.
blood drive here tomorrow, which we want to, but it's not an easy issue. But this was a conflict that needed to be addressed. So.
No, you can't, right, content you can. I mean, but the First Amendment doesn't apply to pornography, obscenity. It doesn't apply to so-called, it's literally referred to as fighting words, which would encompass hate speech and others. I mean, that, just in response to your query, that is regulated. The Supreme Court has ruled on that. Other things you're talking about, especially political speech, is the least regulated of all, even though it can be the most bothersome sometimes on, campaigns and things like that. So it's not limitless. There's a limit to every right. But, yeah, I just want to make sure there's a balance there, because I see a good thing sometimes with signs around town, and I'm just wondering.
Well, there's a sign at the school. It's a LED sign. We have signs on the fire department.
Front of
They're
Reese Park.
LEDs. There's front of Reese
That's on
Park.
their property, right?
Partners of Preventions
Yes.
has a.
That's on their property.
Yeah.
Well,
One's real close.
I don't know, how, is it 15, their property or within the right of way? I mean, I don't know. And if you put it on your property but elevate it 20 feet, I mean, is that what it have? I'm getting
Well, you
too
regulate the
complicated.
time,
Yeah, either way,
place,
let's
and
just,
manner.
What's up?
let's do what the supervisor said. We'll put it
Yeah.
up for a public.
July
public hearing.
11th, public hearing?
Very good.
You've been working on this, you know it's hard.
Patty Surratt has to prepare for you in a short form EAF.
You want to make that?
Well, the neg deck too, but a short form EAF.
Thank you.
Okay, which brings us to
Personnel.
yes.
No.
Okay, volunteers needed. Need I say more? Affordable Housing Board, Partners in Prevention, our Open Space Committee, Energy and Environment. We have a lot of exciting boards that, instead of sitting home watching this, come out and volunteer for the board or a committee. I'd like to acknowledge the resignation of Umberto Santorini as a member of the Somers Zoning Board of Appeals effective July 1. Umberto's been a member of our zoning board for many, many years. Has been a valuable member, so he's certainly going to be missed on that board.
Yeah, I've been on this board for 12 years now, and I was on the planning board for 3 years before that, and I actually served on the zoning board with Umberto way back when. So yeah, he's been on. He's always been a great member. He always took everything very seriously. He had obviously a building background, so that was very helpful in most instances. And,
Yeah.
He's just all around. He's a good guy.
Thank you, Umberto.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your service to the town. Okay, under planning and engineering, for review and comment is the Wilkinson/Jones Wetland and Flood Damage Protection application.
No comment.
This is an application for the extension. I'll read you what it's. Expansion and renovation of an existing resident, construction of a curtain drain. So, other than, reviewing this, it then goes back to the planning board or engineering. I would say, as long as all the wetland regulations are followed, I have no objection.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need to make a motion on it, just,
No comment.
No objection.
I was gonna say, we don't.
Is that
You have no
different?
comment, or you?
No comment.
Okay. Moving on. Oh, our consensus agenda, items 1 through 9.
Can I make one quick sort of public service announcement? You know, number 4 is that they're hiring the day camp and Tusker
Yep.
Tracks people, but I had a child in the camp last year, she's no longer in the camp. The camp is going to start on July 1st. We do not have a meeting between now and then. I would ask just that on July 1st, that people be patient. There will be people going into Reese Park when the camp starts. The first day is always hectic. People try to go early. You know, they're working through it. Invariably, after the first 2 or 3 days, it smooths out. Just remember that we do have people who pay extra to drop their kids off early. It is staffed based on the number of people who have applied, who have put in to drop their kids off early. So if you show up with your child and you did not sign up for that, they are not staffed to take the extra kids. And people do pay for the extra time in the morning and at the end of the day. So if you get there a half hour early, they are not going to be able to take your child, and you're going to have to wait in the parking lot, and that's when things get packed and people's tempers rise, and it's camp. The kids are going to have a great time. You know, there's going to be 2 additions to the park this year. There's 2 new, there's one now, there'll be another one, 2 new Gaga ball pits. So your kids will have a great time, but be patient for that first week. And then it will solve itself as it always does every year.
I assume we'll have an officer there?
Yeah, normally.
Yeah, we
As
will
a-
have an
at the
officer, we
entrance
will
there.
have a town supervisor there. I go down on opening day of camp, and I would reiterate everything Deputy Supervisor Garrity said, with the addition of, there are stop signs, there are directional cones, stop, obey, and be patient.
That's right.
So, and we're gonna have a great camping season for those kids.
Yes, it will be. It always, my
There's
kids,
no rain from July 1st to August 8th.
There you go.
my kids always enjoyed it.
During the daytime, anyway.
That's right, it's only at night, only at night.
Okay, so we're at,
I did want to make one point. We're accepting a donation tonight, as Councilman Garrity said last week, from the Somers Democratic Club for $1,250 to the day camp. And last night we were at a meeting, and the person who helps with that, we're just talking about the need, and I think we mentioned this last week, the need for that scholarship money for kids who would like to go to camp, but families can't afford it, is there. And the person who handles this through the schools was saying, you know, if there's anything way you can do to generate up some, I know the Lions are doing that, looking for more help. So just if you have an ability to help in some way, a small donation, you have to adopt the whole kid for the summer, which is $625, but anything would help, so everybody can have that experience that Mr. Garrity's talking about, which is a lot of fun.
okay. I'd like to make a motion then, if there's no other questions regarding 1 through 9, make a motion to approve the consensus agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. I have a few announcements. Tomorrow, as mentioned, the town of Somers will be holding its blood drive at the townhouse here. Appointments can be made by calling the New York Blood Center at 1-800-933-2566, or at www.nybc.org/donate-blood, or walk-ins are always welcome. This event has always been very successful, and I encourage those of you who can to come in and donate, because there's always a blood shortage, and the town is happy to host this blood drive.
Mr. Supervisor, what are the hours on that again, please?
The hours of that, I believe, are 2 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to capture, you know, the commuters coming home. and those who can get here during the day after 2.
Thank you.
Okay, the 4th annual charity car show honoring the VFW will be held Sunday, June 23rd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Somers Town Center, Route 100, behind CVS. Registration fee for show cars or trucks, motorcycles, will be $20. Sponsored by Horton Landscaping and Marciano's Truck and Trailer. So this promises to be a great event. I'll be down there with either 1 or 2 of my vehicles.
Wow.
Save the date. Somers Independent Day Block Party 2019. Saturday, June 29th, Sebastian Capitol Campus, Route 135. Pull up, park, and party for Patriots. Better than last year, more food trucks, music, kids zone, fireworks, and more. Get tickets at the somersblockparty.com. So earlier we said, where can you get your tickets? If you go on to the somersblockparty.com, there are tickets there for, I think it's the second level parking and general admission. So don't get left out. It's going to be a great day. All right, any other comments, concerns, gentlemen?
Two congratulations. One is for the U.S. women's soccer team who are in the World Cup.
Close
and
game
had
the
a-
other day.
Had a rousing success of 13-0 versus Thailand, and we hope that streak continues. And also, wonderful congratulations to the class of 2019 of Somers High School.
Here, here.
Tomorrow's June 14th, Flag Day.
I was going to mention that too. Good.
It is.
Sorry.
It's my wife's
All your
birthday. She's
thunder.
convinced that's why people put out the flags for her, so
Of course,
Well,
of course.
Paula,
don't disavow her of
that's
her
why we're
fantasy.
going to do it. That's why we're going to put
And
them out.
June 13th is St. Anthony's Day, so if you have anything lost,
Okay.
today's the day to find it.
Anthony will know where it is.
Sometimes I lose my mind. Is that something?
We'll help you there also.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
St. Anthony.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Good night, Somers.